I have Councilor Hanlon. I have Councilor Sani.
Here.
I have Councilor DePiero.
Present.
We have 3 members present. We do have a quorum.
Please stand and play the flag.
All right.
Okay, first item on the agenda.
Item number 1, this is an ordinance offered by Councilor Hanlon. An ordinance regulating the licensure of taxi cabs in the city of Everett.
Mr. Chairman, can
Say that we spent some time on this,
can I invite our city clerk up, assistant city clerk?
Second.
And
both of them, with the clerk and assistant city clerk, please come forward. You gentlemen should know how to work the mics.
At the outset, I'd like to thank that work group for the amount of work that they did. All the changes have been incorporated into the ordinance, and it's ready to go. But the work group did a really great job.
Okay. Counselor?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Counselor?
I would just like to make a motion, send it out favorable with the changes, with the amendments that the work group has done on it.
Before we do that, any further questions of our invited guests? Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much for appearing. You're excused.
Second the motion, Mr.
Thanks.
Chairman.
Motion was to refer to the full board with the favorable action.
Yes.
Second.
Yes.
Motion made and second for favorable action. All in favor, please answer the roll. We have to do a roll? No. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3. Aye. Motion is passed. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is an ordinance offered by Councilor DePiero. The section 1-8, general penalty is hereby amended by removing section A and by adding in its place a new paragraph. Section 1-8, general penalty, new section A.
We invite Assistant Clerk up regarding this issue. Please explain the item before us.
So, this was brought to the city council by the code enforcement director, James Soper, through our president, Anthony DePiero. The changes were minimal, but what it did was explain the violations a little more in depth. They were very liberal before. Now it is going to explain that we don't have to, as a first violation, just issue a $25 ticket. We can issue up to the $300 maximum at the beginning for the first violation if we believe something was egregious. And that was what we came back to the drawing board after speaking with Councilor Napolitano at the last meeting, what the definition of egregious meant. The city solicitor and Mr. Soper and I sat in a meeting about 2 weeks ago to discuss what we would define egregious and why we use that word and what we're going to say an egregious violation is, why we, how we're going to say that we can give a $300 violation instead of $25 at the beginning. And what we felt was something that affected the public health. That would be something egregious. So you go into a home and there are locks on the doors affecting, someone, each room has the single locks on it, sharing one bathroom. That's egregious. Going into a home that is completely filthy with animal feces all over the place, that is an egregious violation. A trash bin that is slightly opened, you may get a violation, but that is not an egregious violation. It does not affect the public health. That is what we decided we would use. So in the preamble, when I go back to rewrite it with the attorney, it will say what egregious actually means, and that is what we felt was the best definition, something that affects the public's health. I hope that was what the counselor was looking for. I thought after discussing with the attorney and the director, that seemed like the best explanation. I know, yep, no, that's all right. Counselor Sani, I hope that,
Yes, I appreciate you
you know,
explaining the definition and how they're gonna word it to explain it more.
I understand your explanation.
okay,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
But where is this now going to be written that it's part, is this gonna go into an ordinance somewhere?
Yeah, it's going to still be, so the easiest way to change an ordinance, sometimes when it's so small, we just delete it and rewrite it. So it's still going to be 1-8, that is going to be the violation. It was easier than going through saying I changed line 4,
Yeah, I
then line
understand,
8.
yeah, right.
I just deleted it and started fresh. That was what made more sense to me.
But there's no ordinance before us tonight.
Correct. It is to amend section 1-8 by deleting it
wrong
in its entirety and rewriting it as myself and the
Oh.
city solicitor
Hold
and
on one
director
second.
wrote. I do have a copy here, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
One moment.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
You don't have one either?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm okay with it, give that to Peter. It's okay. I just wanted to make sure there was an ordinance that was present, that's all.
Yes, it's the same ordinance that we've had for a while now, 1-8. Just so you know, Counselor, the preamble is the only thing that hasn't been amended with the exact language that I just described to you. But before we place it in the newspaper, we'll have the exact
Give Alderman
preamble.
Napolitano a minute to read it. And we can
Yes,
just-
no,
yeah,
I just
okay.
wanted to explain to him,
Okay, so this will be the new ordinance?
correct, and you wanted an explanation on egregious, I believe, is what you sent myself, the attorney, and the director back to explain what egregious would be and what will be in our rule, in their rules, how they're going to work, when they're writing a citation, what is egregious going to mean? And that's when we sat down and discussed that it was a matter of public health.
Right, I see that, and I understand that, but nowhere in the ordinance does it use the phrase "theology egregious in any way, shape, or form." My point is that it sounds like we got an explanation,
Okay?
but it's not married to the ordinance that we're gonna be approving. So of what value does that explanation mean if it's not tied into this?
I can instead just add it to the
Yeah, that's,
Before it comes back out, when it comes out, so if you sent it out, I will send it out with the amended language, that's what I was saying. It will say
Okay.
the words egregious and what egregious meant. I believe the original copy that is amended is with the attorney, and it did not get sent to me, so I had to utilize what I had, and I'm just giving you the explanation in person, because I thought I had the correct copy,
Okay.
just so you know.
Yeah, don't
It'll
get me
come
wrong,
back out to you
again, as I
correctly.
said last time,
Yep.
I'm all in favor of us tightening up the ordinances and being able to make sure that, unsatisfactory situations are addressed. But at the same token, we need to also provide the framework on which the enforcers will be utilizing this. And in that area, I really would like to minimize the guesswork, because talk to two different people. I'll be honest, last week I talked to two different code enforcement officers about a similar situation, and I got two different answers. And that's the kind of stuff I'm avoiding. It had nothing to do with this per se.
Yeah.
And it was just a casual conversation that one thing led to another. I got an explanation that it was contrary to something that had to explain previously. And again, I don't want the onus on them. They're making decisions out there, and we're hiring people that are capable of making those calls. But we also need to give them some framework. Even our police officers, we don't just give them a badge and a gun and send them out there. They have to understand criminal justice system, laws, how their role interacts in that. So it's just a little more. Their formal training provides them with that framework. We don't have formal training in the same context with our code enforcement officers. And that I'm aware of.
They do,
If
they
there is-
actually do some training.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know Mr. Supper has done a great job in making, in that department. Mr. Nuzzo does an excellent job. I have no problems with them, and I've never received any complaints on code enforcement officers. So, I mean, I definitely don't want that to be misconstrued. I
Absolutely.
just want to make sure that they're out there with the tools, and in this case, the framework is part of those tools, so they can make those decisions and not put themselves or the homeowner or the city in awkward positions. That's all.
I agree with you.
You know.
And don't forget, once it goes past the code enforcement officer, there is a liaison here in the city that you can challenge the ticket, and she will be going by that ordinance also. So you'll have, if you don't like the violation, there is a way to petition it before you even go to court here at City Hall through the solicitor's office, and she'll have that ordinance, and she'll be working closely with us. Just to let you know.
Thank you. Thank you.
If there are no
Counselor?
further questions, Mr. Chairman, I would move for favorable recommendation with the proposed amendment attached to it at the next meeting.
Okay.
No second?
Second. Motion made and second for favorable action, refer this out with favorable action with the amendment suggested by the clerk's office to be included and added to section 1.8. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passed. Clerk will read item number 3.
Item number 3, this is a resolution by Council Stephen Sinelli to open up more parking spaces on our street by revisiting the visitor placard ordinance.
Can we invite Council Simonelli and then?
Yes.
Shouldn't be before this. This should be before the traffic commission.
This should be?
What?
Can we do anything on it now?
Can we,
It should be referred to the traffic commission. Really, it's up to them.
Okay, yeah, this, I guess we can hear them, but this has got, should be referred to the traffic commission, because it's they, the men that make the regulations on parking.
so let's invite the guests up where they've
Yeah,
been,
sure.
came up, and
Sure.
I'd like to have Joanne Gregory and
Please come forward.
Council Simonelli come forward, and then we will refer it to the traffic commission.
Okay.
So-
Councilors, just so you know, I'm going to speak on behalf of Councilor Simonelli.
I just have a quick question. I haven't, but I don't remember something
Yep, I can. Okay, on behalf of Councilor Simonelli, the questions he had first were how many monthly placards are issued, and how many monthly placards are used by the same person for a year or more? If that information, through you, through the chair, through,
If there's no objection, yes, of course.
Okay, I wasn't prepared that that was the question he was gonna ask. I'm not involved in the sale of the placards, as you may know.
just slide it up on the back. Yep, there you go.
I wasn't aware he was gonna need this information. I can certainly get that for him from the treasurer collector's office. That's where the sale of the placards go. I haven't been involved in the sale of the placards in a few years, but we can certainly get that information from them. Again, my job is we enforce the laws that are set forth by this body. So my suggestion would be like Mr. Burley suggested, it should probably go in front of traffic.
Yeah. Which one?
But the legislation can certainly revisit and see how other cities and towns deal with their placards, as Somerville gives out one guest pass for each person that gets a resident sticker. There are other ways that it can be done and can be better
Yeah,
controlled.
we've talked about all those that, over the past years, we've talked about a lot of that.
Right, placards, yeah. Yeah, and that's, the best I could tell you is that we do, we sell different, for different lengths of time. We do a 7-day one, a 14-day, 21-day, a 30-day. It does bring in revenue to the city. We have a one night, you can buy in advance up here at City Hall for $5.
he was, through the chair, Mr. Chairman, are all placards issued to people who live in the city and are registered here in the city, or is it just for, is it for guests specifically? That's what he was.
Right. It is for guests, but there are some exceptions to the rules. If there's a student who's going to college that can't register their car here because their parents, provide the vehicle for them, sometimes military, medical, so there are a few exceptions to the rules.
So I think the main thing he was wondering was the 21 and 30 days. It seems to be, from what he's gathered, is that people are using it often and often. So they come and get 30-day, and then 30 days later, come and get another 30 days, and they're not registered in the city. They're not, you understand that sometimes it may happen that someone visits for a longer period of time, but it looks like they're abusing the system without having to register their car here, pay excise tax like the rest, every other resident. I think that's what he's alluding to for the most part.
That could be, and then the bottom line on that is they'd be paying more money too. But yeah, they could be doing that, but they're paying to do that.
$25 for a month, right? Did you have, yeah, he's looking to, that we maybe increase it, the cost. What was the other question? Right, you want, yeah. So he was also looking, so that I believe that because of the issue with the 30 and 21 days, he was looking that it was something that it could possibly be excluded, where they only do the 7, 14 days, the shorter amount of time. It'll be a little more inconvenient for the people, but maybe they won't abuse it as much. So that was his wish. I do understand that it has to go through the Traffic Commission. This is something that I believe the council would like to be relayed upon as they send it to through the body to the Traffic Commission.
Councilor Sani?
Joanne, who monitors and watches the placard cards? What department, if there's any discrepancy going on, like?
That would be we would find a discrepancy if my enforcement officers are out there and the placards look like they're altered or the plate doesn't match the placard. That's considered fraud. It's a $300 violation. So
Do they have another, like a department that would watch how many times that one person is getting that placard card over like every month?
usually the collector's office is pretty good down there about, if they are caught fraudulently,
Yeah.
they're not allowed to have another placard.
So how many times they allowed in a year to keep getting a placard card if someone came in as a visitor?
The ordinance
Doesn't
doesn't, right,
Doesn't say.
right.
Okay. Because I understand what Council Simonelli's saying, that there's
agree.
people that are abusing it, and then there's
It
people,
could
yeah, so, all right, I think we need to send this to traffic anyways, and let them,
Councilor DePiero?
Is there any other questions? Do you have a? Okay, I'll let Councilor
Councilor
Napolitano speak.
How often do we see abuse of the system?
What do you mean by abuse?
Well,
Like-
again, I've heard the term said a few times that, people who abuse the placards. How often does your department or the collector's office identify residents abusing the placard system?
Yeah, I can't answer for the collector's office. I've been out of City Hall for a few years.
In your department,
It's
then?
occasional. It's not often that with the fraud, it's occasional.
Okay.
More
Just wanted to get a
More
sense.
occasional than often, let's put it that way.
Okay. I just wanted to get a sense of what the frequency of this might
Yeah,
be.
in fact, they get like, oh my God, we got a $300 violation, because it doesn't happen often.
Right. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to refer this matter to the Traffic Commission and request that Councilor Simonelli be invited to that meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
Is there, the resolution actually says that the committee come up with ideas for this serious problem. I just want to ask if anyone wants to make any suggestion that we can send along to the Traffic Commission. Yes,
Not at the moment.
Councilor Sani?
I think we should maybe have the collector's office see how many, if they can track, I don't know, if license plates, how many are being abused in a year repetitively, so this way we can see what's going on, and maybe they can work on that, and maybe either up the price of these placard cards, or maybe say after so many, then you have to register your car in the city.
Okay.
unless there's exceptions, like, Joanne mentioned, there is exceptions, which is
So
understandable.
the idea is to ask the collector's office to come up with some statistics on any of the 2138 plaque cards that are being abused,
Yes,
and what fines maybe have been assembled, okay.
yeah, and then
So-
we'll refer that to the traffic, and then Council Simonelli
Okay.
can go there with that.
So I have a motion then to refer this to the Traffic Commission, with that, the suggestion to go to the Collectors Department. Any further questions or, nothing? All in favor? All opposed? You have moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Thank you, Stevie. We have adjourned.
Yeah, we're all going now.